All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to TikTok Shop Insiders Podcast, your latest news and strategies on TikTok Shop. I'm your host, Ivan, and we have Pat here. Hi, Pat. How's it going, man?
Doing good. I mean, we getting ready for spring break next week, so trying to cram in as much work as we can this week.
Oh, yeah, you're off, right? You're doing Disney Cruise.
I am, yeah. I mean,
Very cool.
it's been a while, but yeah, it's a welcomed vacation for sure.
Very cool. Yeah, we're just ending our spring break this week, back to school next week. So I had the kids running around the house this past week, so limited work done, but looking forward to next week when there's like a little bit more quiet in the house, but it's all good. Glad to be here for
Yeah,
the kids.
yeah, for sure.
All right. So I want to start off. Now I know why podcasts read their reviews on their pods because it feels awesome, right? Some of the
Yeah,
reviews and feedback that we've been getting are pretty awesome. I just want to share this one. It's like, Ivan, I'm in love with your podcast value, and then went into kind of talking about how our listing optimization episode helped them a ton, and it was kind of great. Like he it provided like immense value. So yeah, just kind of a reminder, like please leave reviews and kind of feedback as much as possible. We greatly appreciate it. Have you heard
yeah,
anything, Pat, from anybody?
yeah. I mean, pretty much the same thing. I mean, I love that we're able to provide value, and that's kind of the goal of this, right? So any feedback, any of our listeners who are listening to this, if you have questions, if there's topics that you want to hear about or get more information about, we'd be happy to do the research and cover all that for you. So, but our goal here is to provide as much information and value to our listeners as possible.
Yeah, I remember when we first started this, it was so daunting. And
Yeah, for sure.
maybe something didn't look forward to, but sometimes for me, at least lately, it's been the highlight of our week to kind of share our thoughts and what's the latest and greatest in TikTok shop. So
Yeah,
I think you feel the same.
yeah, for sure.
All right. So I want to share with you, Pat. I finally did it. There's someone who has copied my LinkedIn content and kind of copied and pasted to their account word for word.
Oh wow.
That's a milestone, right?
Yeah,
Imitation is the highest form of flattery. So I'm glad to see that. I know there'll be more to come. It was kind of shocking at first. Then you go through the motions like WTF and hey, bro, what are you doing? Versus, and then kind of at the end of the day, it's like there's nothing really you can do except for kind of be kind of thankful or grateful that you're putting out content that people want to copy.
yeah. I mean, it's validating, right? I mean,
Right.
at the end of the day, we can still, or you can still produce original new content in the
Right.
future. Where if they have to rely on copying you, then you're still winning. But kudos, props to you for getting something out that's worth copying for sure.
Thanks, Ed. So yeah, up to the next section is kind of we talk about latest news and kind of updates in the TikTok shop space. In the last week, the biggest piece of news is the TikTok shop fee increasing to 6% in April, but also 8% in July. So, kind of want to touch on that a little bit and kind of what are your thoughts there of TikTok shop increasing their fees?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of makes sense, right? I think they were probably in the lower end to steal market share away from big online retailers like Amazon. Having a lower fee to sell on TikTok Shop was enticing to brands to do it. So no, as the momentum is growing for TikTok Shop, it makes sense for them to start ratcheting up a little bit and kind of be probably, I mean, still competitive, right?
Yep.
But and still lower than Amazon. But it makes sense from their end.
Yeah, for me, we all know it's coming. We all knew it was going to come. It was just kind of
Yeah,
introductory new platform enticing thing that you mentioned for people to get on. But to me, what's going to happen is, it's going to creep up to that 15%, within the year, maybe, in the next year or so. I know that it's going to match Amazon's 15% fee. And, likewise, they're going to they're funding a lot of coupons. They're funding a lot of shipping coupons and promotion coupons. And I can, bet everything that they're not going to do that as much as they get more robust and kind of validated over time. So it's going to go up to 15%. Ads are going to get more expensive. Funding coupons are going to get more kind of disappear. So I think this, for me, stresses the fact that you should get on TikTok Shop sooner versus later, right? It's kind of no brainer at this point, especially with the fees being so low, and it's relatively easy. It's easier than all the other platforms. We're gonna actually go through that process later in this episode on how to start your TikTok shop, kind of rough guidelines, and we also have a kind of bonus PDF for you guys to download if you're interested in kind of learning more on how to launch your brand onto TikTok Shop. Some of those 3 steps to get that first sale.
Yeah, for sure. Getting started sooner rather than later is definitely the action that brands need to take. You're still, I mean, even with 8% in July, you're saving that 7% that you would be paying on Amazon. You can take that 7% and add it to the commission that you're paying to creators, right? And get more content out there about your brand. So take advantage of paying half of the fee that you would to Amazon, plus the benefit of TikTok virality posts and stuff like that. So
yeah, another thing is getting reviews in sales earlier, right? So imagine Amazon 10 years ago, if you're kind of first to market and kind of getting that SEO value and climbing the ranks and keeping those ranks, like, that's super important. I mean, that's who wouldn't want to get kind of turn back the time and rank on Amazon sooner. So getting on TikTok Shop is similar, right? You want to get that those units sold. You want to get those reviews up on your listing and kind of showing that you're kind of a valuable seller and climbing the ranks there. So super important to get on. One of the things, Pat, you kind of just got off the call, but there was a TikTok March platform updates call where they kind of showed what they did in March as far as like software updates and stuff like that on the TikTok Shop channel. I was wondering if you can kind of go through that, what you saw. It's going to be a quick list of how it's beneficial to you, etc. But go ahead and run through the list, and I don't know if we'll be able to share the show notes, but it'll be in our show notes of like what these actually are. But go ahead, Pat, kick it off.
Yeah, I mean, I got the link through. TikTok sends a ton of emails. If you're a seller on TikTok Shop, they'll send you regular emails about the things that are going on. Saw the webinar was coming up, and so registered for it, sat in on it. It was about an hour call. They did a Q&A session at the end, but all of this is accessible on what is it called? TikTok Shop Academy. Where they record all the webinars. The webinar that I attended is also on there. We can provide a link to that as well. But basically, the March updates, they had a couple of good ones. Top ones for around promotions is now you can create target coupons. So before, you can only create a coupon and apply it to all customers. Now with their update, you can target either new or returning customers. Returning customers is defined as somebody who purchased from your store in the last 90 days. So you can create separate coupons for either audience. On the fulfillment side, a new update that I know a lot of brands were dealing with as a pain point is order replacements. So previously, the customer would have to return the product back to the brand, and then the customer would have to create a new order in order to replace the product that they were returning. Now it's a streamlined process where they can submit an order replacement, and then within Seller Center, the buyer will be able to see a replacement requested under that order. Then you have the option to approve or reject it. If you approve it, TikTok will basically create a new order of $0 value, which you fulfill as normal. The benefit is TikTok still covers the cost of shipping for replacements as they do for returns.
Very
a
cool.
big one for the tech and integration side is they're going to be updating their buyer address nomenclature. So updating the columns where your the customer address is going into. So that's a big checklist item that you guys need to check on between your ops. TikTok Shop and your fulfillment and ops, just to make sure that it doesn't break. That change is going to go through on March 13th, and they're releasing it in 2 phases.
March 13th or May 13th?
Sorry, May 13th. Yeah, okay. 5/13. So they're replacing. They're going from 3 columns to 2 columns and changing the names of it. So definitely look that up. Make sure you're double checking with your fulfillment. Everything is mapped properly as far as
so I would maybe take a pause here and put a calendar reminder, May 13th, sometime there, and do some test orders or see if it's flowing correctly, because as you know, TikTok likes to shell out those violation points, and I'm sure they're not going to be forgiving, especially with something like this. So yeah, kind of put that reminder, make sure you don't get those violation points and get those
I would imagine come May 14th, we're going to see a bunch of comments in the Facebook groups, people wondering why they're getting violations.
Right.
Some cool seller marketing features that they released is a chat assistant. If you haven't seen this, it's basically an autoresponder for your common customer questions. It lives in buyer messages under the FAQ section. So if you go in there, you basically see a bunch of listed canned questions, and then they have pre-filled a lot of those responses already. So if you wanted to have it worded in a different way, closer to your brand language or your brand personality, make sure you go in there and update those responses. It's all opted in by default. So if you don't want that to happen, you have to go in and turn that off. But it's a great way to, have a very quick customer service experience for people asking questions. And it also applies to your seller response percentage that helps you. So you can apply it for off hours, like after hours, or if you're busy, you can have that running.
And this is just for customer messages, right?
Correct. Okay. Yep. A new one that I thought was cool is they have a real-time diagnosis live board. So if you're on live, there's basically a dashboard that you can look at the same time, and it tracks your performance in real time, and so that you can make adjustments on the fly. You can see, the people that are following you, the GMV that you're selling at the time. A really cool one that they mentioned was violation alerts. So if you're doing something in the live that could potentially cause a violation, they'll alert you in the board, right? So to make sure you're aware of it. So like if you're not showing the product all the way in the frame or whatever, they'll flag it on the board so and then you can avoid that violation.
That's great. That tells me that it's it's bots and kind of computers that are monitoring these lives, right? So Absolutely. Make sure your products are in the frame.
Yep. So they're giving you the tools to avoid those violations where you can. Another cool feature is a teleprompter within the board. So basically what it does is, based on the product that you're discussing, the teleprompter will suggest product pitches and scripts or ways to present your product information that'll help you sell better, which is kind of cool. It's like a AI chat GPT sort of thing where it's suggesting ways to talk about your product that might sell it better, which is cool.
Cool. Nice, man. Yeah. So one thing I take away from this, that's so much done in the month of March. It's so crazy. It's like it's TikTok moves at lightning speed, TikTok Shop, and it's just like ever more important for us on this podcast to kind of download all this information so we could share it, because you miss 1 month and you're missing all these things, right? So it's crazy how they move so fast.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, stay up to date with the Academy. We'll have a link to it. They have all these webinars, so you can go back and watch them in more detail for sure. But we'll try to provide as much as we can. We'll stay up to date.
Yeah, Pat's that latest and greatest news guy. So awesome. All right, now to the kind of main part. Some things we kind of like to have in our podcast is some substance. How can you act on some of how can you act and kind of sell on TikTok Shop? And one of the requests that we had was to teach a new seller or a new brand on how to get up on TikTok Shop, how to sell, how to connect with affiliates. Speaking of affiliates, we had a pretty long and big affiliate podcast last week, so check that out if you haven't. But I wanted to go through how to go from zero to essentially your first sale as a brand on TikTok Shop. And with that said, our team created a 3-step playbook on how to launch your brand on TikTok Shop. That'll be in the show notes. That's what I'll be referring to right now on this podcast. And really just want to get as many people on a TikTok Shop as possible. If there's a bigger brand out there that kind of needs a little bit more handholding or needs someone to do it for them, we're open for that. So just give us a ring, TikTokShopInsiders.com, and click work with us. And we'll get right into it. Pat, anything to add before we kind of get started?
No, I mean, this is a great, simple way to get started. Everybody,
right.
I think that it's always that first step, right? Like you're kind of unsure on what to do next. And we hope this kind of provides like a very easy 1, 2, 3 step process to get onto TikTok Shop.
All right. Yeah, agreed. We want to kind of simplify it and make it less scary, right? And it's pretty simple, right? If you can make an eBay account, you can do this. You can make a TikTok account, you can do this, right? So first step is creating your business account on TikTok. You get things as advanced analytics and TikTok ads manager, but essentially you create your TikTok regular account into a business account. There's links in the download. So go ahead and download that and get the links there. But that's kind of the first step. Another kind of big step is, as a brand, you want to register for TikTok Shop. and essentially they're going to ask you to include your ID, residency, a bunch of paperwork, and kind of submitting that into TikTok for validation. I've seen a lot of brands report that their kind of documentation needs to be looked at again. I would definitely suggest to submit it, keep on submitting it, because I think it's just essentially bots that are reviewing it at first, and it's not getting past the first time. But keep at it, and it'll kind of resolve itself. It's going to take about 2-3 days for them to review it, and then kind of you're off to the races on TikTok Shop. Something you also want to do is, you created that business TikTok regular account, the video account, and then you have your TikTok Shop seller account. Now you want to link those two, and how you do that, there's a process. We have the steps in our guide, so go ahead and download that. But yeah, it's essentially just connecting the two dots, right? Yeah, super easy. I don't know if I did a good job describing it, but it's pretty simple steps, and you can do it within 30 minutes. So up next, Pat, you want to take this? This is kind of your forte, setting up your product inventory and listings.
Yeah. So once you've registered and set up shop, you create your seller account. The first couple things you want to do is set up your shop address. This is where you're going to be shipping your products from. So once your store is set up, you can move to adding your items and the inventory and start creating your product listings. From there, then you're going to add your items to your inventory. Basically, create your product listing on TikTok Shop, and then fill in the product details like the title, description, the price, upload any product photos and videos. If you listen to the listing optimization podcast, we went through kind of all of the factors within the listing that you should pay attention to. So this is a great way to, this is where you are going to apply that information. And then you can also sync your listings to Shopify. Basically, you just go into Shopify and download the TikTok app within Shopify, and then you can connect your two accounts together. From there, you can port over information like your reviews, your product information, or your inventory, and then you can toggle on and off any of those items.
I will note here, it's super important if you do have a Shopify connection to go ahead and do that connection, Shopify to TikTok Shop. Inventory is the biggest thing there. If there's already existing connection with Shopify, you can sync it a lot easier versus kind of doing it other ways. So sync with Shopify if you can.
Yep. And then, yeah, I think that's it. I mean, we talked about customizing and uploading your product listing, making sure you have an attractive listing on TikTok Shop with all the lifestyle photos, the product in use if possible, and then click upload listing once all that product information is inputted into the system, and then that'll make it available to the customers.
Very cool. The next stage, right? You have your accounts created, you have your listings up, you have optimized listings, images, etc. So hopefully that's the case. And up next, the big part is the affiliate outreach, right? How do you kind of get in front of more affiliates so that they can create the videos and share it with their audience, and hopefully kind of get something more engaging, and then it can get viral, and then in turn get those sales for your brand, right? So essentially it starts with that affiliate outreach. How do you get into their inbox? So again, last episode talked pretty deep into the affiliate outreach, but some guidelines, I think I just you want to stick out in those inboxes as much as possible, in those affiliate inboxes, right? And you do that through a couple of things. One, it's a very attractive commission with a high priced item or a higher priced item, right? So we like to suggest like 25 to 30% commissions to stick out. Obviously, every brand is different, but if you can afford that, that's something you want to do to be attracted to those affiliates. Any other kind of tips off the top of your head that you want to share about affiliate outreach, Pat?
Yeah, I mean, making sure you have your logo uploaded on your seller profile. It's a big thing that stands out in people's inboxes when you do outreach. Making sure you're personalizing the message to the affiliates as much as possible. And then if you can mention the type of content they're putting out, that also stands out as well.
Right. Yeah. I think Super important to get as many affiliates as possible. There's a lot of different ways. You can do it manually. You can do it through VAs. You can do it through, bots and automation. It's kind of a wild west right now in TikTok Shop and trying to figure out all these methods. But that's why we're here. We're gonna have a bots and automation episode coming up in the next couple of weeks to kind of talk through all of that. And yeah, last week was a little bit more personalized side with our friend Zoe and how to kind of get in their inboxes and get their attention. But yeah, I think the name of the game of TikTok Shop is affiliates and how to get more affiliates to create videos for your product. So
absolutely, yep.
Cool. We have here like 3 insider secrets for TikTok Shop success. The first one is power of seeding, which is essentially what I just said, getting to as many affiliates as possible. Even people with small followings can do millions in sales. We've seen it, right? There's examples of, people with 30,000 followers getting, millions of dollars in GMV. And that's kind of crazy, right? Those micro influencers have, a highly, they can create those videos. You never know which video TikTok is going to push. So pretty awesome there.
I think a big thing to stand out here is it's different from the old world of influencer marketing where you're kind of looking for the person with the biggest following because you think they're going to have the biggest reach. That's not the case with TikTok Shop, right? That's what makes it special. My wife, for example, had that one video that has over 400,000 views. She has, not that many followers, but it's really finding those affiliates that know how to sell on TikTok Shop, and do it well, because they're going to be the ones that are successful are the ones that are putting out a lot of content, trying different hooks. And those are the creators that you want to go after, not necessarily the big giant creators with huge followings.
Right. And that's part of our philosophy, right? It's like a 3-prong approach, right? You want creators that you value and that have following and that fit your bill, and you manually reach out to them. And then you have kind of creators that are, small and know how to create a great video. And then, you have your bots and automation that will reach out to as many people as possible. And then you can choose on the back end who you want to accept. So yeah, I think a multi-prong affiliate approach is definitely the way to go. Yeah. Something else along those affiliates is clear communication and giving them, brand and product briefs to help tell the story of your products. Speaking with Zoe, some of the things that help her a ton is like, she gets a product and it's just sitting on your desk and you have no idea what to talk about. You don't know what ingredient is kind of being marketed in other channels, or you don't know how it even works sometimes, right? So giving your affiliates, a brand brief, a product brief on how to talk about your product is super key. Up next is, as a newbie, something that is kind of unique to TikTok is violation points. You do not want to accrue violation points. They will kind of, they're very, very strict in kind of the policing of them, right? So if you reach a 24-point mark, they'll kind of, affect your performance. And then I think 48 points, they'll, remove you from the platform, kind of no questions asked. So you definitely want to, watch out for those points.
Yeah, and that's what we warn everybody that's getting on TikTok Shop, and we provide as much guidance as possible, making sure their ops are ready, their customer service reps are ready to make sure they're responding to messages in 24 hours, making sure they're aware of all of those rules, holding guiding them through it.
Part of our brand onboarding for our new partners is a checklist of like essentially QA, right? Do a test order for ops and do a test kind of CS and making sure that the responses are within 24 hours. So really, because we want to, on Amazon you could mess up a little bit and all that hurt was you and your channel, but with TikTok they'll give you those points, and you don't want to kind of violate. You want to save those points as much as possible. You don't want to have any. So yeah. So yeah, that concludes it. Again, this PDF will be in the show notes. The download link, you'll kind of we'll have a website for you guys to follow. Leave your email, and then we can kind of give these. We can share these notes with you. And yeah, that concludes it for this week. Yeah, it was great episode. We'll catch you next time.
All right, thanks guys. Bye.